That spirit that Marx wrote about, that ghost that haunts the modern world, this image of a communism really different from capitalism, never went away. And in the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union after 1989, all of the people who still believed in that, and there were millions of them, began a process of self criticism. What had gone wrong? Why did the Soviet Union collapse? Why was it unable to survive, let alone take us in a transitional way to this communism that people believed in and wanted, this community where we nurture and care for and develop one another? And they reached a conclusion over the last 10 years, 15 years, that there was a crucial element missing in both what the socialist parties did and what the communist parties did. That if we corrected that, these folks said, we could resume the transition to a really different society that would embody what communism always meant for the centuries. And here was the idea. Neither the socialists in places like Scandinavia or Western Europe, the social democracies, all of that, nor the communists understood that a problem was the way capitalism had organized work. They had organized it so that there were two groups: a very small group called employers, capitalists, and a very large group called employees, workers. One of them was rich and powerful, and the other one wasn't. I won't have to spell it out because you all already know. The small group of employers worked the economy so they would be rich and powerful, more so as time went on. In that way, the few, the capitalists, resembled the few masters in slave systems, the few lords in feudal systems. Capitalism hadn't broken out of that small group dominating large group in the economy. And because the socialists and the communists didn't change that, the socialists let the private capitalists run their businesses in the capitalist way. The Communist Party people in Russia, China, Cuba, North Korea, and so on, they did the same. They didn't let private capitalists run the business. They had state officials doing it. Again, a very small number of state officials making the decisions for the mass of the working class. One was private capitalism, one was state capitalism, but neither was anything like the communism that was in this kind of socialist's mind. So, what was the thing that was missing? What was the explanation found by those socialists, those members of communist parties who wanted to do what Marx had advised? Figure out what went wrong so you can build on that. And they did. And their answer was this: the organization of the workplace, the factory, the office, the store, had never been transformed. Not by the socialists, not by the communists, not in Russia, not in Sweden, not in France, not in China, fill in the blank. And here's now the irony: the ghost of communism, the ghost that haunted mid 19th century Europe that Marx writes about in the Communist Manifesto, that ghost is still with us. Changed its outfit, but still with us. And that ghost now says to all workers, whispering in their ears, you know, the job you have could be different. The restaurant where you work, the factory where you work, the office, it could be a nurturing community. It could be run democratically, one person, one vote, where we all together discuss and decide what we're going to do as a workplace, how we're going to respond to the market, what role we're all going to have in the communities in which we live and work. And maybe, just maybe, if we transform the workplace, which the socialists and the communists never did. We will be able to achieve what they set out as their goal, but they never achieved either, which is the breakthrough to a new society. It may not be enough to win the government in an election. It may not be enough to be the powerful union of workers in a workplace. If you cannot mobilize the people of a community to demand the transformation of the household, of the workplace, into a democratic collection of individuals caring for and acknowledging their dependence on one another, you will not get to that lovely utopian image that communism always represented.